Us now, Israeli ambassador to the UN, Danon. Mr. Ambassador, it is always a pleasure to have you with us. We thank you for your time. What do you believe the Security Cabinet will decide when it meets in just under 2 hours' time? Will all hell break loose, as President Trump has said it should, given that all the hostages have not been released today? Or will Prime Minister Netanyahu continue on this path with this fragile ceasefire holding?
Good morning, Jonathan, and thank you for having me. Yes, indeed, we are very happy to see 3 hostages coming back to their families. We are praying for the release of the rest of the hostages, and we are determined to bring all of them back. We have to be grateful for President Trump, because only a few days ago, Hamas said they will not release the 3 hostages, and they will violate the agreement, the framework we have with them. So I think the pressure that the president put on the table helped to release those hostages. The cabinet will meet in 2 hours and will discuss the next steps. We do have a framework with Hamas. We are not happy about the framework, but we accepted it. Basically, we know that we release murderers, convicted murderers, in order to receive the hostages. And there are still a few more weeks ahead of us that we can bring back home hostages. So Prime Minister Netanyahu will lead the discussion at noon US time, and we'll have to think about all options. But I think Hamas understands today that we have no patience for any games, or if they will breach the agreement, we will resume our military activity.
So it sounds from what you are saying, Mr. Ambassador, that all hell will not break loose, as President Trump had suggested it should, if Hamas keeps releasing the hostages on the current schedule. So we should not expect all-out war to be resumed in the next 24 hours, for instance.
So, Jonathan, we are preparing for all options. The military is ready, is capable, but at the same time, we worked hard, and the U.S. supported these efforts to achieve this framework. It wasn't easy for the government to approve this framework, but I think that will be the decision in front of the cabinet, whether to move ahead with the proposal coming from the U.S. or to move forward with the framework and to get as many hostages as we can alive.
And Mr. Ambassador, as we look at the extraordinary pictures on our screen right now of the families being reunited, they bring us joy. I think they bring joy to every reasonable person in the world every time we see those. But the juxtaposition to that is the release itself, when we see those hostages led to the stage by dozens, if not hundreds, of Hamas fighters. It is impossible for Prime Minister Netanyahu to argue that he has achieved his goal of destroying Hamas. There are hundreds of them every time we see these hostages released, wearing masks, carrying rifles. Hamas is not destroyed by any means, it appears.
I agree with you, Jonathan. We have to finish the job. We cannot allow Hamas to regroup, to recruit more terrorists, and to attack us again. And I think, we are not worried about those pictures of few hundred militants or terrorists. But indeed, we know that Hamas is still in power in Gaza, and that's why we are determined to make sure that at the end of this war, Hamas will not be there. So they have to choose whether they want to move out by themselves to be exiled, or they want to wait for us to come and hunt them down. But we will make sure that Hamas will not stay in power in Gaza. We are determined about it.
And Mr. Ambassador, finally, if I can talk to you a little bit about what President Trump has said about the future of Gaza, that the U.S. would take control of it. All Palestinians essentially would be moved out to Jordan and Egypt. That sounds to some people like what the president might be ultimately trying to do is to hand Gaza to Israel, to increase Israel's territory. Is that a fair reading of it?
No, absolutely not. I beg to differ with you on that. We have no intention to go back to Gaza. We left Gaza 2005, 20 years ago, and we are not intending to go back there. And I think the president is right. It is about time to think about new ideas. So many leaders speak about the Palestinian cause, but they are not offering any ideas. So I think it's about time to think about new ideas, and countries in the region should support the process of helping the Palestinians. So I think it's a good direction of the president. It will not be easy to implement, but I think now is the time for new ideas.
Mr. Ambassador, it is always such a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for spending part of your Saturday with us, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan.